All right, so I've got my two designs here. I decided to go with the one on the right. So the next step is you're just gonna trace it using a thin Sharpie on some tracing paper. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it over and use a pencil. Sorry, had to go grab one. I'm using an ebony pencil. It's nice and dark. I'll have those out in class. And you're just gonna scribble over all of your Sharpie lines. I'll pause it and show you what that looks like when it's done. All right, so I've scribbled the back, and you really just have to make sure that you really scribble close together. You can't have your scribbles far apart or it won't transfer. The big idea here is that we're just putting graphite on the back of this, kind of making it like a homemade carbon paper. So just making sure that we cover all those lines. Then you're gonna work on your plan it out paper, which is this one right here. We're gonna flip it so that the pencil is down, a little piece of tape so that it doesn't move on you. And then you're just going to make sure it's placed in the square how you want it, tape it down, then go ahead and trace that. You do have to push down hard when you trace because what you're doing essentially is transferring that graphite that's on the back of the paper onto the white paper. And here's a little peek at how that's working there. You can see that it's transferred off. I will pause and show you when it's done. All right, so there's my design. What I'm gonna do next is get a thick Sharpie, and I'm gonna treat my thick Sharpie like the carving tool. Every place that I Sharpie in black is gonna be what I carve out. So we have to kind of reset our brains for a second and think that everything that I trace in black is gonna end up being white on the print. This is what I'm carving out. So if I want these snow caps to be white, I'm gonna Sharpie those. If you're finding that your details fill in with the Sharpie, then it is probably too detailed and isn't gonna work in carving. So I want my snow caps to be white. I want this line to be white. That line that separates the mountains from the sky. Okay. Here's my waves. I know that I want a lot of white down here, so I'm gonna add in some lines down there that I'm gonna carve out. And I'd want these to be pretty white too, so I might not carve all the way, but I'm gonna carve here. So again, I'm kind of pretending that my marker is a tool. On this side, I also want there to be more white, so I'm gonna carve with the Sharpie. And then my water, I definitely want some like ripple and wave lines to be white, so I'm carving those out with my Sharpie. I have some long ones, some shorter ones. All right, I think that I want my clouds to be very white, so I'm going to carve most of them out. I'll leave that little crescent shape in there. All right, I'll pause and finish and show you in a second. All right, so everything that is black is gonna be carved out and being white. Everything that's remaining is gonna be a color. So that's where I'm gonna go over here and make a plan. So the white of my paper is what's black. Okay. Then we're gonna work lightest to darkest. So you're gonna decide what your three colors are gonna be. You do have the option of doing a fourth. You can just write it in here, but I know I wanna use yellow, pink, and blue. Your colors can be fantasy, they can be realistic. You can work in color schemes, keep things like warm colors, cool colors, things like that. All right, so these are the three colors that I'm using, yellow, pink, and blue. I just identified some color pencils. With that, they don't have to be an exact match because we'll actually be using inks. But then over here, I just did a really rough coloring. Everything needs to be colored. You can't leave anything white. Remember, everything that's black is white and everything else needs to have a color on it. So I just really quickly just fill in here. So my mountains and these little accents on my clouds are gonna be pink. My sky is gonna be blue. My sun is gonna be yellow. And then I've got blue down here in my water as well. If you wanted to add a fourth color, let's say that I wanted my sky to be purple, I would just write in color 4 here, put in purple here, and indicate that. This is gonna be really important in me helping you through the process and for the plan of the process too. So you can see here, it has all mapped out what our steps are gonna be once we've printed.